think people jumping on the defense of Wilfred Wong, absolutely horrendous and ridiculous. These people don't even know what the details are yet of what he's done. We don't know what he's involved in with these charities. We don't know what kind of scamming he's been involved in. We don't know what kind of destroying families crap he's been involved in. So to jump on his defense before you even know the facts, what does that say about you? You're ridiculous. At least wait for the facts and have an open mind and think, well, maybe he could be a wrong un, a wrong un. You know, there's some dodgy stuff here coming out. When you're dealing with charities, it's always going to be, in my opinion, not many people are very charitable. And when they are, when they're giving up their life for something, not supposedly caring about themselves, putting all their force into a charity, there's something going on there. You've got to live, you've got to earn money, you've got to have, a life. So if they're not earning money doing that, what are they doing? They've got to be earning. And I think I can't find anything on Wilfred Wong that he ever practiced law. There's nothing. He did qualify, it looks like, but no work experience. Isn't work experience part of the job? So it doesn't look like he ever worked on anything. Just wondering why that is. Did a better offer come up? Did he study the law specifically to do something else so he could have that up his sleeve? Because law does come in handy in several other jobs when you're doing something, especially if you're doing dodgy dealings and you need to know the law. Very suspicious. He definitely does not need money. People do not need to be collecting money for this man. Seriously. I've heard, even if he doesn't need money for lawyers, there's legal aid here if he has no money to pay for law. There's legal aid he will get, and the legal aid is good in this country. It's not like America where they give you one of the lawyers in-house and they're rubbish. You can choose which lawyer you want with the legal aid. I think people should refrain from handing over any money to anybody who's collecting for Wilfred Wong. Mainly because he appears to have enough money, or he has agencies who can support him with that. He's been working with them long enough, all these dodgy things he does. He appears to have enough money, or he can get legal aid. The people collecting money could be collecting for themselves. You don't know, I'm collecting for Wilfred. You don't know where the money's going to be going. So I think there's going to be a lot of people popping up collecting for Wilfred Wong and the cause, and it's just another chance to jump on the bandwagon and grift and beg and get money. So be careful about giving money. I wouldn't. Please be careful about giving your money over for this pretend cause. It's not even happening. You can see by the adverts on TV at the moment. I don't watch TV. Occasionally I do. My brother does. So I catch some of the adverts passing in at the room and things like that. And I just notice just everywhere is these charity adverts. It's not hungry children anymore starving. It's eye problems, pet problems, animal problems, all this kind of stuff. Hair lip problems, cleft palate problems. It's just never ending. And especially at Christmas, and they show these pictures of little children, especially to tug on your heartstrings. And that's what these charities do. They get the worst stories they can find. Some of the pictures are from war-torn Africa 20 years ago, and they show them to you today. Look at this, it's not even happening. It's just anything to do with children or cruelty and things like that. It does actually really get to people, and they know this. And especially the little animals with 3 legs and matted fur and pus coming out of their eyes, and they show you all this especially to get money off you. And it does work. It really does work with people. I've been in a room and seen it. You know, people go, oh my God, look at that, and straight on the phone they're giving the donation. You know, oh, I've seen it so many times. And it's a lot of what what Wilfred Wong does. You know, they tug at people's heartstrings um, and vilify the person asking questions. And if you've got any doubts or questions, you're vilified in his eyes as a nutcase or, you know, an abuser. You're called all these names continually through every one of his interviews. He brings it up. If you don't believe us, if you don't believe these stories, you're this, that, and the other, which is, you know, out of order. That means, you know, he's putting all these things in people's heads. So you know, some people feel like an outsider. Well, why don't I believe this? Everyone believes it. I'm the only one that doesn't believe. There's something wrong with me. You know, and give you all these doubts, and they're continually doing this, continually trying to make you feel guilty for not handing money over. Money for what, may I ask? Money for what? Why are these people always asking for money to start up this, start up that, when none of them ever start up anything? All they're doing is lining their own pockets. So now you've got people collecting on behalf of Wilfred Wong to give him money in the prison. He doesn't need money in the prison. He's the same as every other prisoner. They've all got the same things. They get everything they need in there. Why should he be treated any different? He's a kidnapper. Please do not give these grifters and con artists any money. He does not need it, and neither do they. Let them work for a living like the rest of us. I mean, so many people are very kind-hearted and generous, and they like to feel that they're helping. You know, they're maybe comfortable in their lives, can afford a little bit of money sometimes, and they like to think that they can do their little bit. But I would urge you, please be careful what charity, who you're giving your money to. Um, Try and do a little bit of research on the company if possible, because these charities are raking in the money, not helping the causes, really not. A very small, minute bit goes. Here's an example. A charity I worked for was for blind people, and it was criticised that they had so much money in the bank, just sitting there in the bank gaining interest, so much shares, so many properties that they owned, and rent coming in, and dividends coming in, all sorts. And they weren't helping that many people. They had about 200 people on the books. In fact, they were actively helping, and they had millions sitting there not helping blind people. So somebody says, well, at least put some money into research in the budget, you know, so into eye research, so that will show you're doing something at least. So they put this money in, they put £20,000 into eye research. Anyway, that £20,000, what it went on was they hired a woman and paid her the £20,000, that was her salary, to work for a year. Independent freelance research. She would work from home, but they supplied her with everything she needed, a new laptop, and she would give me bills for this, that, and the other, and got up my nose a bit, asking for things, but it's another story. So she was working from home. All she had to do, what they got her to do was do a bit of research on all blind people in England, and what the other charities were doing, get the accounts for the other blind charities and all this, and just to get an overall picture of the state of play, basically, and statistics. That was the research that went into the eye research. Just paying her to do the job that they should have been doing anyway. The clerk to the trustees and the people staff employed already should be already doing this. They hired us specifically, and he used to hire people all the time. When they put money into anything, they would hire a person and call it consultancy fees, and we just get a report done for the trustees, basically saying what the trustees wanted to hear. So most of his job, he would just get a consultant to do it, and basically they would do a little bit of research and do a nice little report that he was happy with, and give that to the trustees. And that's how the company was run most of the time, until I got in there. And I've done another video on the charity itself from start to finish, and there's a lot in there, because they were Freemasons as well. So there's a lot of bit about Freemasons. Well, not a lot, quite a bit about the goings on in there and how they worked and things like that. And I worked there for 8 years and learned such a lot about charities. I would not give anything to charity anymore, ever again. I would help a poor person on the street and homeless people. That's what I do, and that's what, I think people should do that. Just buy a homeless person lunch, get them a little bag of goodies from Marks and Spencer's, a little sandwich, a snack, a drink, a packet of crisps, they'll really appreciate it. Or throw them a fiver or a tenner or something, and you see their little face light up, It could change the day for them from really, really bad to a really good day. And that's what I prefer to do anyway. And you get much more results. You can see what you're doing. The money is going to a good cause. You know, a lot of people are not homeless because they want to be. Some are, I found out, but most are not. Who wants to be homeless in the cold? Nobody. Unless they have the personal reasons. I found this book once. Somebody was just a box of books outside near the rubbish, and I thought, oh, they're throwing them away, I'll take them. I love books. So I took this box of books. Well, I think I asked them, do you want these? Or they said, no, I'll take them. So I took a box of books. And among them, some very interesting, really old stuff. Some an old lady's house. And her husband was one of my neighbours. Her husband was a sergeant major in the army. There was a lot of like army stuff and old maps and things and like that. I gave them all to my cousin. He collects army memorabilia and stuff about the royal family. He'd been to the palace for a couple of meals, dinner, and all the menu was there and with his name on the things. But I think actually what actually happened was they were my neighbours, as I said, and he was very like that, sergeant major, shouting all the time at his poor wife, and I think he gave her a terrible time. And then he died, and then she threw all this stuff out. I started seeing all these boxes of books and stuff going out, and I thought, oh, they look interesting. So it was all his stuff she was throwing away. Anyway, there's this book there, and it was written by a homeless person, like a tramp, he called himself, like he was a tramp, an old man, and it was written by him from start to finish. And I thought it was just his life story about living on the streets. And oh my God, it was such a good book. I think there were only so many copies made. I don't know what happened to this book. I lent it to somebody and never got it back, as happens. I'm always lending books, never get them back. I hate that because I love books. I like keeping them. But he was about how where he went to certain places, on certain days, was good and bad to collect the money, how he jumped on trains, buses. He actually got his foot amputated on a train as he was jumping off. The wheel caught him or something and he lost his foot. So there was all sorts of things, all his illnesses. He got bronchitis, flu, scabies, all the stuff that happens. It was written from his heart, and it just gave me an insight. But he actually he enjoyed, that's why I said some people like it. He was actually one of these people who could not live in a house. He said he could never live in a house or settle down. He loved the open road. He loves the people he met on the streets. He loved going from place to place and spending he just loved that kind of life. And he worked around it and knew the places to go to keep warm and had it all sewn up. Knew the soup kitchens to go to on certain days, knew which bins had the best food. So he was doing what he wanted to do. He didn't like conformity and bills and to be tied down. So I do believe there are probably a few people like that. But most of them, as I said, don't have a choice. So as a little Christmas message to anyone who is listening, I would urge you not to give your money over to one of the big charities this year, but to maybe see a little homeless person on the street and help them out. Be much better. It'll bring much more happiness and joy to them and to you as well. Because when you see people, when you can make somebody happy and you see their face light up and you know you've done something good, makes you feel happy as well. It does me anyway. And so you're not only doing it for them, you're doing it for yourself as well. So I would do that. Guide dogs for the blind do not need any more money. I'm going to do an expose on them soon when I get the accounts through. Um, you know, they've got a lot of money, and I've been looking at a few things, and there's like waiting lists for guide dogs, and when there shouldn't be. They have enough money to give numerous guide dogs out, but there's always a long waiting list. So I want to find out what's that about, when there is so much money around and not being used. Where is it going? These animal charities. I've never had to actually ring a animal charity for anything before. I did buy a couple of cats, we think, my mom did, and might have bought the dog ones from the dog's home. You pay top work, they're not cheap. So, you get all their injections and all that. So we have done that in the past, but never had to ring them for anything until I had to when I came here. We've got a problem with cats here. We inherited one, and so we just have to feed him and everything. But then he started bringing kittens. He brought four little kittens. The tomcat brought his kittens, and they were definitely his. Oh, they were the image of him. He just brought them down. So we had like those five. That was five. And then another two would come down. There was all these strays, and these kittens were beautiful. Oh my God, a couple of them were really, really nice. And we didn't know what to do. And I go away a lot. We go away a lot. The house is empty. We didn't know what to do with these kittens, and they'd go and come and go, and I didn't know where they were living. So we just try and feed them when they were here. But they got to know that the food was here. So a lot of the cats, I think we feed about 10 cats now altogether, come down at different times. It's turned into a nightmare. But anyway, I said, we're going to have to ring the Cats Protection or something. You can't leave those little kittens out there and all over the place, They have nowhere to go, and they're all starving a lot of the time. So I was worried about them. So all through the summer they were. But anyway, we just inherited them now. They live wild. But we called I said, let's call the charities. Maybe they can take them in and give them a good home. They're lovely little kittens. People will love them. Called all the Cat Protection. Nobody was interested. Not one of them. I went online, found all the ones that came up, and I said in the end, well, look, I'm not feeding them. Nobody's feeding them. I pretended no one was feeding them. I said, there's nobody feeding them. I can't afford it. There's too many, and I refuse to feed them. I said, so what are you going to do? And I said, one of them has a really sore paw as well, and I can't afford to go to a vet, so I was saying all this just to see what they'd say. And I eventually got one to come down and take one of the cats, and about 2 days later, he turned up at the garden again with a little bandage on his paw. So they fixed his little paw and brought him straight back. He's still here. We still feed him. So they're all grown up now, and they're all going to start having kittens, because that's what they do. There's nobody spaying them or neutering them, and nobody owns them. And they obviously don't go somewhere else as well. There's a few people feeding them, because they don't come to me every day, but more or less every day. Sometimes I don't see them all day. I might see one or two in the evening or whatever, but they all come around in the morning looking for food. And then I think they go somewhere else, and they go somewhere else, like little tramps, homeless cats. But I didn't think this was allowed in the UK, to have so many stray cats around. There's loads of them around here, loads. And I said to them, well, at least can you take the tomcats and spay them so the problem doesn't get out of control? No, they didn't even do that. So I don't know what these Cats League, Cats Protection, this, that and the other, none of them have helped in my cat problem. So I would urge people not to give to Wilfred Wong cause anywhere. As I said, he has enough money, or he has people that can help him, or he can get legal aid. Don't part with your hard-earned money for thinking this is a good cause. At least wait till you hear what he's been, accused of and allegedly arrested on the scene of a kidnapping with a knife, kidnapping a child, an 8-year-old child. These are the charges. You know, so at the moment he appears to be a criminal. So don't give money to criminals. I would ask people as well to look at the videos that are coming out about Wilfred Wong. You know, several people are doing some. I won't be doing any more myself unless there's any more developments in the story or the court case, news reports, or anything like that. Said all there is to say, unless something new happens. But in the news, that is, or in the case. So, but I'd urge people to keep their eye open and just catch up on what's going on with him and what he's involved in and what these charities are. And you know, there are several people looking into him now, so I would urge people to make sure they're on top of all that before they make their minds up and support him. I think that's all for now. Don't forget, if you have some spare money, get the homeless person a sandwich, or maybe your little old neighbour who has no relatives coming, no family, a little box of chocolates, something like that probably makes someone's day, you know. Something small like that has a bigger impact, and I think is much better than giving these grifters money. Why should the people keep giving them money? For giving you information, it's already out there. Okay, bye for now. Thanks everybody for watching.